The Chinese ambassador to Nigeria, Yu Donghai, has announced plans for China to build Africa's first local insulin production facility in Nigeria. The initiative aims to strengthen the country's healthcare and diabetes management capabilities.
And Chinese companies are in talks with Nigeria to build Africa's first local insulin production facility, potentially ending Nigeria's reliance on imported insulin and positioning Nigeria as a hub for African medical biotechnology.
It is a great honor for me to stand before you this evening as the guest of honor at this auspicious occasion marking the 76th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. On behalf of the government and people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and in particular on behalf of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, I extend to the government and people of China our heartfelt congratulations and warmest felicitations on this milestone celebration. Tonight, we not only celebrate the founding of a great nation.
Stop whatever you're doing, because what I'm about to tell you may change how you see Africa forever. Something is happening right now on the African continent. Something the mainstream media will never show you. Something global powers wish you would never hear about. For centuries, Africa has been treated as a land to be looted, its people enslaved, its leaders assassinated, its resources stolen. From the transatlantic slave trade to colonialism, from neocolonial exploitation to IMF debt traps, the story has always been the same. Africa produces, the West consumes. But every once in a while, history shifts. Every once in a while, a people rise up and say, enough. That moment has come. Nigeria, the beating heart of Africa, home to more than 200 million people rich in oil, gas, and culture, has joined hands with Burkina Faso, the fearless nation led by Ibrahim Traoré, the young captain who has become a symbol of resistance and Pan-African pride. And together, they are working with China, the world's most ambitious superpower, to do something the West never thought possible. They have flipped the script. They have done the unthinkable. For decades, France and the United States used West Africa as a backyard, dictating policies, looting resources, and justifying it all with words like aid, stability, and security. But today, that dominance is being challenged in ways we haven't seen since the days of Thomas Sankara, Patrice Lumumba, and Muammar Gaddafi. Think about it. If Nigeria, Africa's economic giant, and Burkina Faso, the vanguard of African resistance, can forge partnerships on their own terms with China, bypassing the dollar, bypassing Western control, bypassing the chains of the IMF, then a new Africa is possible. And that, my friends, is why global powers are shaking. Because they know the truth. They know that the resources that fuel their economies, the oil, the uranium, the gold, the rare minerals, the agricultural wealth, all lie in African soil. And if Africans decide to use those resources for themselves, the West's entire system begins to crumble. This is not just politics. This is survival. The West fears that this alliance will spark a chain reaction. From Ghana to Congo, from Kenya to South Africa, other nations will start to break free, demanding sovereignty, demanding respect, demanding a future designed by Africans, not dictated by foreigners. This is what the AES Alliance started in the Sahel. This is what Traoré has been fighting for. And now, with Nigeria and China in the picture, the movement has gone from regional to global. So ask yourself this. Why would Western leaders be so afraid of three countries making deals? Why would they panic over Africa finally controlling its own wealth? The answer is simple. Because they know this is only the beginning. Africa is no longer asking permission. Africa is no longer waiting. Africa is rising. And the unthinkable has just begun. Something has just happened on the African continent. Something so bold, so unexpected, that the corridors of power in Washington, Paris, London, and Brussels are shaking with fear. Nigeria, Africa's most powerful nation. Burkina Faso, the revolutionary heartbeat of the Sahel. And China, the world's rising superpower, have just joined hands in a way the West never imagined possible. This is not just another diplomatic handshake. This is not another empty promise of cooperation. No, this is the beginning of a seismic shift, the kind of moment that changes history. For decades, Africa has been told it cannot rise without permission from the West. For decades, its resources have been drained, its leaders manipulated, its economies tied down with chains of debt. But now, a new alliance is emerging. An alliance that dares to do what the world said was impossible. And the global powers, the ones who believe they could forever control Africa, are in shock. Nigeria, the giant of Africa, with over 200 million people, vast oil and gas reserves, and one of the fastest growing populations on Earth. A nation whose youth are tired of corruption, tired of dependency, and hungry for transformation. Burkina Faso, led by the fearless captain Ibrahim Traoré, a man who embodies the spirit of Thomas Sankara, standing against neocolonialism, rejecting French domination, and calling for Africa's total liberation. And then there is China, the global power that has risen from poverty to rival the United States, and now sees in Africa not a colony to exploit, but a partner in reshaping the future. Together, these three forces have done the unthinkable. They are rewriting the rules of geopolitics, building a new path for Africa, and sending a message that the days of Western dominance are numbered. But what exactly have they done? Why is the world panicking? And how will this change Africa forever? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will understand why this moment might be remembered as the day Africa shook the global powers to their core. So, what exactly is this unthinkable move? Nigeria, Burkina Faso, and China have just struck a deal that changes everything. For years, Africa's oil, gold, uranium, and natural gas have flowed out of the continent cheaply, feeding Europe and America while Africans themselves remain in poverty. But this new agreement does something revolutionary. It cuts out the middlemen. Nigeria, Africa's largest oil producer, will now channel part of its oil and gas exports directly to China, but not for cash alone. Instead, in exchange, China will deliver something the West has never given Africa: massive infrastructure, advanced technology, and military cooperation. This is a barter system that rewrites the global order. No more dollar domination. No more IMF loans with strings attached. This is resource for development, a model that empowers Africa, not enslaves it. Burkina Faso, on the other hand, has committed its gold and agricultural exports into the same framework. In return, China is pledging to build energy grids, railway lines, and digital infrastructure that will connect the landlocked Sahel to the wider African economy. And here's the twist: Nigeria and Burkina Faso are not doing this alone. They are pushing for the deal to expand across the AES Alliance: Mali, Niger, Guinea, and beyond. Imagine it. Africa's natural resources no longer flowing to Paris and London, but fueling a new Africa-China partnership that rivals anything the West can offer. And this is why the global powers are terrified, because they know the numbers. Nigeria's oil reserves, Burkina Faso's gold, Niger's uranium, Mali's lithium. Together, this bloc holds the raw materials that will power the future, from clean energy to digital technology. And now those resources are being redirected east, not west. For the United States, for France, for Europe, this is a nightmare. For the first time in modern history, Africa is not begging. Africa is bargaining. Africa is demanding equal partnership. And it is China, not the West, that is listening. So what does this mean for Africa? And why does it matter to you? The truth is, we are living in the beginning of a new era. For decades, Western powers told Africans that unity was impossible, that independence was dangerous, that Pan-Africanism was just a dream. But today, Nigeria and Burkina Faso are showing the world that Africa can rise when it chooses its partners wisely. This alliance with China is not about dependency, it is about leverage. For once, Africa has options. For once, Africa can say no. And the ripple effect is spreading. Ghana is watching. South Africa is watching. Kenya is watching. Across the continent, leaders are realizing that the old game is collapsing. And the African youth, the diaspora across London, Paris, New York, Toronto, they are seeing hope again. They are seeing that Africa does not need to remain the world's victim. But make no mistake, the West will not give up easily. There will be propaganda, sanctions, even attempts at destabilization. They will call African leaders dictators. They will try to divide us, as they always have. But something has changed. The people are awake. The AES Alliance has set the tone. Nigeria's involvement raises the stakes. China's support provides the shield. And together, they are doing what the world said was impossible. Africa is shaking global powers. The unthinkable has been done. And as Sankara once said, you cannot carry out fundamental change without a certain amount of madness. It comes from nonconformity, the courage to turn your back on the old formulas, the courage to invent the future. That is what we are witnessing today. Africa is inventing its future, and the world is watching. And so here we are. Nigeria, Burkina Faso, and China have just done the unthinkable. They have shown the world that Africa is not doomed to be a victim of history. They have shown that Africans can choose their destiny, that the chains of neocolonialism can be broken, and that a new chapter can be written. But this is bigger than just governments and leaders. This is about you. If you are in the diaspora, whether in the United States, in Europe, in the Caribbean, in Asia, or anywhere in the world, this is your story. This is your heritage. This is your moment to reconnect with the continent and stand with the movement for African liberation. If you are in Africa, this is your time to rise, to demand accountability, to demand unity, to demand that your leaders put Africa first. Because what is happening right now is proof that the vision of Sankara, Lumumba, Nkrumah, and Gaddafi did not die with them. It lives on, in Traoré, in Nigeria's courage, in Africa's youth, and in every African who refuses to remain silent. The West is panicking not because Africa is weak, but because Africa is strong, and stronger still when united. So, the question is not whether Africa can rise. The question is, will we rise together? This is only the beginning. The unthinkable has been done, and the world will never be the same again.
Welcome to African Spotlight 24, your premier source for news and current affairs from across the continent. We're glad you're here. If you're new to our channel, please subscribe, like, and turn on notification to stay up to date with the latest news and analysis. Your support helps us reach more people. Disclaimer: the content of this video is based on credible, publicly available information and is intended for educational, analytical, and informational purposes only. African Spotlight 24 does not promote hate, violence, misinformation, or political unrest. Our goal is to deliver thoughtful insights, highlight local voices, and encourage informed conversations throughout Africa.